Welcome to today's webinar, How to Prepare Your Pharmacy for the Peptide Market. We're really excited to have you today. Thank you for joining. My name is Nicolette Matthey, founder and CEO of Atrium24, and we help pharmacies grow. We focus a lot on sales, marketing, technology enablement through those channels. And we have Annie West with us today.
Hi, everybody. I'm a pharmacist and the clinical director here at Atrium. I focus a lot on our clinical initiatives. So looking at things just like peptides, what's coming now, what's going to be the big opportunities for our pharmacies. How can I kind of take the information, break it down for our pharmacy teams and make it simple for them to implement it in their pharmacies?
Yeah, I'm glad you're back. Annie was on maternity leave, left us for a little bit, but she's back and we're so happy to have her. Annie and I are both licensed pharmacists here in Florida, and we actually still dispense. And we dispense the stuff we're talking about today through our 503B fulfillment pharmacy. So it's exciting to be able to see it on that end and see it on this end too. And we're really happy to have with us today our folks from Olympia, who we work really closely with. So Erica, Hayden, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all having us, or having us. I was about to say me.
Well, we're excited for the partnership with you guys. We've been working with Olympia for years. I know we came and toured Wesley Pharmaceuticals at the most recent Atrium X conference, and that was a lot of fun. And so Hayden's one of the most email responsive people that we know.
Absolutely. We hosted y'all at Wesley. I think the first time I met you, we hosted you at Olympia.
Yep.
As of right now, Wesley, it's our newest 503B and sister company, not quite yet, I would say, licensed up enough to begin servicing pharmacies at this point. We like to ensure we have enough coverage to account for our, pharmacy partners who are licensed in multi-states. So with that in mind, we will hopefully be bringing Wesley on board for pharmacies. I'd say likely early 2027. As of right now, we're licensed in 39 states and 41 jurisdictions, coming off perfect FDA inspection with zero findings and not a 483 in sight. So really excited about that. Huge testament to, what we hold near and dear, and that's, quality. We have a saying at Olympia and Wesley, everyone works for quality. So
yeah, that's really incredible because, it's almost unheard of to not get anything notated based on the regulations that you guys follow as a 503B are so stringent. So obviously we love to hear that. We know our pharmacies do as well. You can always check too with us what states, Olympia is licensed in, which is most of the states. But we do have that document on our GPO page as well. So you can constantly see which of our partners are licensed in your state. So you can kind of see what opportunities are available to you.
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's an ever-evolving market.
No doubt.
So today we're going to talk about, of course, this peptide opportunity, a ton of buzz, a ton going on. This is what we're treating as a part 2 of our peptide series and a continuation from Atrium X. So in the last webinar, we covered what pharmacies can and can't do today and the legal and regulatory landscape. Really by far, the top voted breakout session at Atrium X was peptides, more than 2 times over any other topic, more than AI, more than compounding workflow, more than anything. It was just strictly peptides. And there's a lot to cover. So what we're going to cover today in this part 2 is what's happening in the peptide market, what's coming next, how 503Bs like Olympia are preparing, and what our pharmacies should be doing now. And then we'll jump into the Q&A. So
I think there was some pretty big news that came out pretty recent, probably after that first webinar you had, huh?
Yeah, there was. And we were really excited to see it. We were hoping everything would all be resolved by the time Annie got back, but we'll take it.
Yep.
So there was a recent update. So RFK has been pushing for, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast earlier, and he finally gave us that little nugget we've all been looking for that like, hey, something's happening. But now there was official word that 12 peptides will be removed from category 2. And category 2 is kind of that no list. You can't compound it, right? It's not, there may be some safety concerns or maybe not enough information on patient safety. So, the knee jerk, everybody was like, oh, great, now we can all compound them. Well, not exactly. but it is the first step in this process in the right direction. So the FDA planned the PCAC, right? PCAC. It's a compounding committee meeting in the end of July. And so that's the next step that has to happen. And we have just a couple screenshots here of that actual Federal Register document. But it's publicly available, accessible, and it talks about the dates. It talks about which peptides are going to be discussed on which dates. So that's the first thing that has to happen. So they're removed from Category 2. Are they going to put them in Category 1, which means they can be compounded?
We hope.
We hope, we think, we want.
Yeah, and what we've heard on our end is, yeah, the PCAC meeting has to happen in
Yep.
July before really any action can take place. They cannot, and it really all it is the FDA seeking guidance from a third party regarding their take on whether these products should be added to the Category 1 list. Now, what our thought process is from our regulatory team, and our compliance team, which, they are ear to the ground. They're phenomenal. They didn't believe that the FDA would make such a move to remove these products from the Category 2 list just to remove them. They do believe that, yes, eventually they will be added to the Category 1 list. The FDA can rule against whatever findings PCAC and whatever comes of that meeting. The FDA can rule against that or not in favor and still add these products to the Category 1 list, despite, what PCAC might have to, present during those meetings in, I think, late July. So,
Right.
and that is a requirement of 503As, as you had mentioned. But with 503Bs, it's a bit different. So we're still on, pins and needles because there is no PCAC meeting that would be required for 503Bs. So just a little tidbit of info there.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to get into that because the more I read this official Federal Register, there I believe it's 9 times it's mentioned 503A. So they're talking about 503A bulks list, right? And Category 1. They're not talking about 503B in this July meeting.
No, they are not because it is not a requirement for the FDA to consult with PCAC before adding products to the FDA's Category 1 bulks list for 503B outsourcing facilities. So in all reality, we're kind of anticipating if they were to remove these products from the Category 2 list for 503Bs, that they would likely do one of two things, and that is to provide enforcement discretion for 503Bs, essentially giving us the ability to produce them or just simply adding them to the Category 1 list. So we're waiting. We at this point haven't heard anything as of yet, but we are monitoring it very closely on the B side.
Yep, and that's a great point. And we love that Olympia is always so well informed, is that I've been reading a lot too about that discretion enforcement that might, because that was a thing during the GLPs and with the shortage and with the shortage ending and all that, because it takes such time for these things to happen, that if the FDA puts in writing that they'll have some enforcement discretion, then that gives us all a bit of peace of mind too.
Yeah, and we were producing GLP-1s under that enforcement discretion period or following the removal of them on the FDA drug shortage list. But, as Olympia does, we operate in the free and clear. We like to, get a good sleep at night. Once that enforcement discretion was lifted, we did cease the production of those products in accordance to the FDA guidance that came out. But, nonetheless, with us being able to pull out of the GLP-1 race as early as we did, I think it's really allowed us to kind of focus way further down the line than maybe some other organizations have up to this point, just based on what I've heard and seen. We've been able to do some really cool things in terms of planning, kind of revamping of our formulary, so on and so forth.
And that makes sense, and there's always going to be that risk kind of stratification, right? So Olympia, if you're looking at Olympia has a huge book of business in just all the longevity, all the wellness, and you have well before GLPs. And so by looking at Olympia and being so conservative in the GLP-1 market, we do have we have plenty of pharmacies still dispensing GLPs through 503B partners, but they have a completely different business model, which is fine. It's, it's
Mhm.
apples, it's oranges, it's this. There's a lot
Absolutely.
of legality and a lot of nuance to every decision. So we have disclaimers on everything. It's like, we're not lawyers. Andy and I are pharmacists. We're not, definitely check with your state, check with the FDA, check with your lawyer and all this. We're just looking at kind of what's happening in the industry and what is the potential. So we do have, I've been talking with lawyers too, that just to make sure that I'm reading things correctly and understanding, and they're excited. They do think things are coming and things are changing. And then what we're hearing on the pharmacy side, so are these additional peptides actually coming? Because the buzzword is peptides. Well, there's already some peptides available.
Sure. GLPs are peptides.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of peptides that are available already, but
It's a buzzword.
it is a buzzword.
Even things that are not peptides, people
Right.
refer to as peptides.
That's
so.
true. Yeah, and there's different stacks and different things, and so there's a whole gray market. But our pharmacies want to know, what should I be doing right now, and then how do I prepare without taking risks? So a lot of our pharmacies are very risk averse because, just like Olympia, they have a big book of business and a very diverse business and a lot of patients and providers that they serve well before GLPs and without doing anything risky or, not carved out in the law yet. So what can these pharmacies do to prepare? And I do think there's a lot that they can do to prepare. I know, Hayden, you're going to talk about, when we jump into your guys' specific section, we'll talk about the pillars and the products that you already have available now that pharmacies should be talking to prescribers about, talking to patients about, and dispensing. And then we'll talk about which peptides are on the list to be reviewed, which peptides are potentially coming. And then, your prescribers have questions about those peptides now. Your patients have questions now. So you don't have to wait until they are fully legally available in the supply chain to talk about them. And all of us should be very well educated in those therapies and in the market and in just regulatory wise what's going on. Just so that especially when something changes or when your providers have questions, they come to you in your pharmacy. And you kind of have that role as the compliant, well-read expert. I think that's important.
Yeah, I think a couple things that I've heard of just this week, and I know I say this week, it's Tuesday afternoon, right? We're just getting into it, but I'm really getting a sense from some telemedicine brands that I've spoken to so far this week. They are really emphasizing the fact that they want to diversify and they want to diversify now. We know GLP-1s and the 503 beta A outsourcing really allowed, I think, telemedicine to experience the boom they did, right? We were like the ones fanning the fire, and it was just growing and growing, and still is today. But I think there have been some moves made by the FDA with 503B facilities in particular that continued the production of GLPs. I think just last week, if not the week prior, I know there was one that was asked to cease the production of GLP-1s, as there is no pathway for 503Bs to produce them. So I think telemedicine practices are kind of getting the sense of, well, holy mackerel, this GLP-1 market just got cut a little bit. I think further emphasizing their need to continue diversifying their offerings, right? And it all, I think we'll kind of all tie it in together as we get further down the line in the PowerPoint. But figured I'd just mention that and the importance of the diversification.
Yeah, I mean, the market is drastically changing. I'm reading all the warning letters every Wednesday that are published. I'm looking at any new inspection reports, any new things that are published by the FDA that are clickable under each 503B's link. So I'm sure there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Publicly, there hasn't been anything posted about GLPs by the FDA in a while. April 1st, they did have a press release, but it read, well, in the beginning, it said, this is a reminder, and it was a press release. So it read as a reminder. So there hasn't been rulemaking or much official enforcement in that space, but it's always changing. So that's why definitely talk to your lawyer. There's a lot of money in longevity and wellness, weight loss, anti-aging medicine.
Mhm.
So anywhere there's a lot of money, there's going to be folks pushing it or folks, that you just have to watch. So the patient demand already exists. How many patients and how many do you see online, even in your like local community groups? Patients are talking about Retta and retatrutide, and they're talking about Wolverine stacks, and they're talking all about these things. And some sophisticated patients are even buying these powders and then sending them off for testing themselves and mixing them all up. And it really is something.
Yeah, I think that's the part of the reason why, the government's looking to help
Yeah.
get these peptides into a more regulated
Yeah.
space because they know that it's happening already. And we
Right.
don't want our patients ordering online
No.
powders and mixing them themselves. Even if you tested that powder, you don't know what's going to happen once you mix it, once you combine things. So that's why we rely on, the testing of Olympia and,
Yeah.
all of our trusted partners. But to the point, more peptides will most likely be coming in some shape or form. But now is really the time where you should be preparing because you're not gonna, okay, let's say it's September and they're released now. That's where you start. You can't start there. You need to have the patients, the prescribers now. And you wouldn't just be, I can't really see a scenario where any of our pharmacies would be just selling these new ones that are coming out.
Right. No.
Yes, so you're going to want to start with your things like sermorelin, your NAD that already exists, and I'm sure Hayden's going to talk about exactly what they have and their most common products. But to me, it's almost a good thing that the pharmacies have a little bit of time to prepare, so you can really educate yourselves. We'll talk more about that. You can get your resources so that you can start, sharing with prescribers. And if you haven't even used the 503B, a 503B before, it's a
Right.
great option because that is just going to continue to grow. Maybe then you want to get into ED with Olympia. They have a ton of trimix, bimix, quad mix. Too many of them, I can't even keep them straight. But there's just so many opportunities. And as we're seeing our patient population move from sick care to preventative health care, that's where everyone's going to want to be. And I was speaking with a pharmacy owner the end of last week. And, he had been dispensing, he might even be on here if he is, shout out. Retail medications, he's been pushing more and more away from that reimbursement model. And he just said, this is going to be more fun. And it really is. It truly is. Even as, I do most of the dispensing for our small pharmacy, fulfillment pharmacy here. And it really is fun to see these people who are feeling better.
Yeah.
And just start getting healthier. It's incredible. And there's so many options. And even at our pharmacy where we haven't done any marketing on like new peptides coming out, I'm having existing patients reach out to me on some of the things like sermorelin, which maybe they weren't interested in before. So there's just so much room to grow with this. And it is fun.
It is a lot of fun. And you know what's funny? When you look at all these things in pharmacy that have happened, right? So, it used to be the biggest thing that happened to independent pharmacy was maybe generic sildenafil tablets. And then it was BHRT compounding perhaps before that. And then of course COVID happened and that was wild. And then we had these GLPs. But when the GLPs happened, it was such a perfect storm because it was really the first time that we had a blockbuster drug. I mean, we've never seen any drug or any category like this. It's insane. It works so well and everybody's on it. It feels like patients are asking all kinds of questions, prescribers are asking questions, but then you had the regulatory layers that were also new, 503B to 503A. And that was new. And we all had to figure that out since the FDA posted that guidance for industry back in the summer of 2023, I believe it was. So there were a lot of more conservative, long-standing pharmacy businesses that were like, I'm not going to be the first one in on this. Number one, it's new. It's a guidance. It's not big in the industry yet. And then they were risk averse too because they said, I don't really want to go against big pharma, and you have these Lilly and Novo, and I don't want to get in trouble for the wrong marketing words or ordering from a 503B in case the script gets flipped here. Now, when we think about these peptides coming online, you don't have that big pharma pressure. 503B to A is widely acceptable now, a few years later. So we don't have all those barriers that we had before. And even with those barriers, the GLP opportunity was huge. And it created just generational wealth for some of these independent pharmacy businesses, and who did everything the right way and are straight with their state board. Everything's going great. Nothing terrible happened. Now with this peptide opportunity and not having those barriers, and with the patient community and population being much more comfortable with injecting themselves now.
Compounding, injecting, prescribers in
Yeah.
general, everyone
Yeah.
now, it's kind of like we went through that
Yeah.
first phase where everyone was being educated.
Right.
The GLPs being such a blockbuster drug where you
Right.
can visibly see
Yeah.
the differences so easily
Yeah.
has really opened up the door. And that's why, you know, we're always saying we're always growing our GPO to include, you know, the products that are going to be really important to our pharmacies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nicolette did mention Olympia. They really do have a robust catalog.
Oh, yeah.
And I would consider you guys the pioneers in the longevity space.
Mhm.
You've been doing this for forever. So
Yeah.
we're excited. We're probably taking up too much of your time. We should.
No.
Well, and the only other thing I'll add that makes this whole situation excitingly weird is think about the only other time as a pharmacist when, because we push MedSync and we want to make sure these patients get their potentially profitable medications refilled, right, from a business sense. These medications refill themselves. When else do you have patients coming to you saying, I'm due, I need a refill, I don't want to go without this stuff, other than your pain patients? And even if your pain prescriptions were profitable and you wanted to fill them, then you have the DEA, then there's some ethical issues. So there's always been this push and pull in pharmacy. So I'm just excited for like all these things to line up, and it's good patient care. It's profitable business. It's fun. We have great partners like Olympia who we trust from the compliance and regulatory perspective. It's like, what a time to be alive, I always say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main difference between the peptides and GLP-1s, it was an absolute perfect storm. I mean, I don't know if you could put it any better, but thanks to GLP-1s, it has given patients that sense of confidence in compounding pharmacies, which, has been difficult to kind of win over patients, right? When you think back to the New England compounding thing, we got a bad rap. And then GLP-1s kind of allowed us to put our name kind of on the map, right? And then yes, the confidence patients have in self-injecting. I mean, my mother of all people is like, hey, Hayden, when can you get me a script for NAD? Well, got her NAD last week, right? It's going to be something else, I'm sure, down the line. And that's one of the last people I would have envisioned would be so comfortable with self-injecting, in all honesty. But peptides in general, I mean, you compare it to GLP-1s, peptides have been distributed for a while now, right, in this gray market. So bringing it into I'd guess, a space where these products can be safely distributed, safely produced, it's going to put a lot of those patients' mind at ease. I think those that were intrigued by peptides, but uncertainty regarding the particular facility it was produced in, take that away now. You're stripping that. And these products being added to the category 1 list potentially, that is huge. It's not like the drug shortage list where we didn't know or still really don't know what various states might come out and say regarding GLP-1s, what the FDA is going to do, when are they going to be removed. I think it's a more long-term play as well, one that we're going to be here for pretty much the long haul, right? With hopes they aren't removed, which I don't foresee that happening given how much hype and excitement is built around these products. I don't foresee them being removed from that category 1 list again once they're added.
Yeah, there's something to be said about having that patient base and prescriber base when the next big wave comes as well, because longevity is not going to change. The GLP space is going to continue to grow. Right. The indications are going to continue to grow, the types of medications. So, I mean, you never know. Retatrutide could go off on the shortage list within, 6 months of it being there. You already have in place those prescribers who are already doing GLPs, who are into longevity. So I know I've talked to people too who are like, oh, I feel like I'm too late into this. Should I start now? I've missed it. You absolutely have not. It is, when we look back, this is still going to be the very beginning of this boom. So
yeah. And so now is a perfect time, and we're just about to get into some exciting things that Olympia is doing. But if you guys think about what we talked about and how to set up, we have a lot of Dotti pharmacies on this call. So if you don't know, Dotti is our software here at Atrium24. We named it Dotti because it connects the dots for your pharmacy's sales and marketing initiatives. And Dotti pulls in all of your pharmacy's dispensing data and puts it, real time in a sales enablement dashboard for you. We are just about to launch Dotti 2.0 within the next couple weeks. And this is just a little sneak peek of it. Dotti 2.0, it carries over a lot of the similarities from Dotti 1, where it pulls in your top prescribers, your top scripts. It's a CRM, and all your prescriber profiles are already built. And it has a task board. The most exciting feature, and there's a lot of new features in Dotti 2.0, but the most exciting feature is Dotti AI. So when you click on Dotti AI, I just clicked a little pre-built button there, which prescriber should I visit next? Dotti's going to look at all of your dispensing data and all of your CRM notes and of your prescribers, who is writing for what prescriptions and what are the trends, and it's going to tell you, based on your data, which prescribers you need to visit next. Maybe they write you a lot of prescriptions. Maybe they write you a lot of profit. Maybe they are a profitable doctor, but you haven't visited them in a while and haven't logged any CRM notes in a while. So Dotti will pull that data. And then you can also tell Dotti AI to create a task for you and assign it a priority level, assign it to one of your sales reps, and it's going to automatically, by that data enablement, create tasks based on your data on what needs to happen. And that's why we're so excited about this, because we're like, wow, this is a great opportunity. We're all very busy in our pharmacies. Where do we start? So that's why we built the software to do this. Now, I've been playing around with Dotti AI every day. I was playing around with her earlier today and asked it, I said, BPC-157 is about to be able to be compounded. Which prescribers should I visit next? And I was in some demo accounts, so it was some sensitive information, but it pulled up all the CRM notes and all the compounds that these prescribers are writing for. And it said, well, based on all these prescribers, they've been writing for these longevity type products, or they've been writing for hormones, or they've been writing for these things. So these are the prescribers you should visit with this BPC message. And you can create tasks for that. So by utilizing AI and data, again, what a time to be alive. This layering all this together it's going to be revolutionary for all of our pharmacy businesses. And we just got the blessing yesterday too to start uploading the BPC marketing materials into Dotti. We did put a disclaimer on it because we are not advocating for any pharmacies to start dispensing BPC right now. That's important to say. But like we said, you should start having those conversations with your prescribers. And
you're already fielding a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So we just don't want our pharmacies sitting there unprepared, because the questions are going to come now.
Right.
So start the conversation now, educate yourself now, and be ready to go.
Yeah.
Within our GPO, we also create like order forms that are specific. So we take a look, for example, at what Olympia is putting out, what their concentration is, what their vial size is. And then we break that down and make it very easy for, let's say, a new prescriber or even your pharmacist to understand what are common dosings, how often, how is it administered. So with such a big opportunity like this, we know you guys don't have the time to do all that. So we do it, we set it up for you. Don't worry, Hayden, we're not going to release any order forms until it's approved. But we will have an Olympia specific one. I already actually have it ready to go. I already know all the info unless anything changes. So as soon as he gives me the word, everyone will be up to date with that.
Yeah. And we have all the GPO pricing, of course, for our Atrium members. They get significant discounts on Olympia products. Because the goal is to have an ecosystem where you can access the products from vetted quality places. You can access marketing materials. You can look at your own data to see what am I supposed to do with all this and where do I get started, because it's a bit overwhelming. But Atrium X, we did a field trip. A lucky 50 of us went over to Wesley Pharmaceuticals, got a physical tour of the space, and then we went in your guys' conference room and you gave us a presentation. And
Mhm.
we had some of our top users, our smartest pharmacy owners there, a lot of big users of Olympia products, and the folks that ask us really smart questions all the time and push us to make new resources and new data analytics. And we all sat through your presentation, and it was really insightful and helpful just to know what you guys are doing behind the scenes at Olympia and Wesley, and just the incredible amount of regulatory hoops and things that you guys have to comply with. So we're thankful that you're going to kind of go through that same presentation here for everyone who didn't get to come on the little party bus and come to Wesley a couple months ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I think from a regulatory compliance side, and I think I mentioned it early on, like we like to get a good night's rest every night, right? So with that, I think we take regulatory compliance very seriously. I think throughout the industry, we like to view ourselves as being that gold standard for regulatory and compliance and kind of the bright light amongst all other, of our competitors or other 503Bs and, 503As in the space, like to kind of set that example, I would say. And, for our customers, they really appreciate the built-in compliance that comes with working with Olympia Pharmaceuticals and Wesley, right? A couple things here. If you don't work with Olympia or or no one works with Wesley as of yet, that'll come. But if you work with Olympia Pharmaceuticals now, some of these awesome things right here in front of us. So overnight shipping, I'd say everything at our 503B will ship very next business day. As long as you get the orders in prior to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard, we'll have it out within the same day. Patient med guides, I mean, we have a ton of material that our clinical pharmacy team actually reviews. We have about 6 clinical pharmacists that just man the phones on a daily basis. We just actually moved them over to the Wesley site. They sit right next to our sales team. So get to hang out with them, see them every day, which is phenomenal. Marketing materials that kind of go hand in hand. All of our marketing materials are vetted by our clinical pharmacy team. They work in conjunction with marketing on that. And then again, our clinical pharmacy team, they can serve as a resource, right? If you have any questions or if your, patients have any questions and you are just up to your neck and, just day to day running your pharmacy, lean into some of those resources that we have. Feel free to have your patients call our pharmacy. We're more than happy to answer any dosing questions, set their minds at ease as well. Quality, again, our saying here at Olympia and Wesley Pharmaceuticals is everybody works for quality. It doesn't matter if, yes, I'm sitting in sales right now. I know that, every conversation I have is definitely quality focused. And we do believe that is very, very important. We are a family-owned business. I think it's hard to believe, and some people, I would say, don't even really know that. Right now, we are currently being run by our COO, Taylor Fritzler, who is the daughter to Naomi Loomis, who is one of our founders, and then Josh Fritzler, her husband. He is about to actually step into a new role here at our facility, but I think it really allows for a unique, it gives us some unique things that we can really do. I think a lot of big time pharmacies are going more toward like private equity, being tied up on that front. Being family owned and a private company does allow us a ton more flexibility. And then down the line, I mean, everybody's close as well, right? Like Josh and Taylor, got to be honest, they're some of my closest friends, but I think there's an accountability aspect that is had there. And you'll see that throughout our entire leadership team as well. Wesley Pharmaceuticals. So, yes, we are not yet servicing any pharmacies via 503B to A as of yet. We want to really gain more licensure out of this site. We just came off our first FDA audit, came out with 0 findings, no 483 to be reported there. First time ever between Olympia and Wesley that we've ever had an FDA audit go that swimmingly. But just rest assured, the same quality practices that are, seen at Wesley are also the same quality practices we have over at Olympia Pharmaceuticals. So, with that, Wesley, uh, the reason why we came up with this name, unfortunately, when we were trying to pick out the name of this new site, right, we had to rename it anyway. We were going to operate under a different business name, just because the distance between Olympia and Wesley was a little too great, where we had to end up applying for new licensure anyway. So we said, you know what, for redundancy purposes, let's just operate under that new DBA. At that time, when we were about to pick out a name, we tragically lost Wesley Loomis. He was very integral in really everything that we did here. He kind of touched various aspects of the organization at Olympia. He is the son to Stan Loomis. He is one of our co-founders. So Wesley is in homage to Wesley Loomis, and I know that he would be over the moon proud of what we've done up to this point with this site. Uh, Wesley is a huge facility, 55,000 square foot site. We are set up for high yield production. I believe once we get to the top end, as we gain more state licensure, we're going to be looking at around 500,000 vials being able to be produced out of this facility on a weekly basis. We aren't quite there yet, but we are coming up with contingency plans on, okay, well, if peptides were to hit the list, how are we going to squeeze the most juice out of Olympia and our production capacity there? The only way we're going to be able to do it is moving more products over to Wesley and ensuring we're just squeezing the most out of it with the limited licensure that we have, which is 39 states, 41 jurisdictions at this time, and that is rapidly growing. I think just last week, I think over like a 2 day span, we got like 4 different licenses, and it was like, holy mackerel. We got to figure it out on the marketing side.
And
So,
how many at Olympia?
excuse me.
How many licenses do you have with
We
Olympia?
have 49 out of Olympia Pharmaceuticals. The only license that we're missing is California. But California will likely be one of we're working hard on California out of Wesley. So once we get California out of Wesley, we will probably discuss what it looks like for pharmacies out of this site. Because I think there's a lot that we're missing without California. It used to be 20% of our overall sales. We had to cut ties with California just due to some regulations that conflicted with FDA guidance. But now that, we're at where we are, right, with, the infrastructure of our regulatory compliance team, our quality team, I think that is something that we could certainly take on at this point. But more to come there. Now, what can we compound? So as a 503B outsourcing facility, we can compound products off of 2 lists. That is the FDA's bulks list, and that is the FDA drug shortage list. So what we are seeing happen before our eyes, the FDA is working toward removing the peptides from the Category 2 list, and hopefully adding those products onto the FDA's Category 1 list, or the FDA's bulks list is what we call it. With that, it is going to be huge. That'll give us the ability to go on and produce all of the peptides that are added on. And right now we are really busy working on R&D right now on all of these products. We currently have BPC-157 ready to rock. I'll get into that in a little, or there it is. Okay. BPC-157, yeah, we'll have about 150-day dating at this point. I believe at the end of last month, we had 120 days, have 150 days now. Heck, if I were to do this PowerPoint come next month, we'd be looking at 180 days. So it really will depend on when we get the news, right? So I mean, I think it's huge that we're able to start so much up front. And even since I sent Nicolette this PowerPoint, I think our strategy has changed just the slightest bit with some particular peptides. So we can get into that, Nicolette. So how do you approach kind of getting ready to roll out peptides right now. As I'd mentioned a little earlier, we are seeing a lot of telemedicine practices begin to diversify, right? They have this urgent need to diversify their product offerings, and part of it is the need to start offering wellness and longevity products now, right? Within the space that, you might be in as a community pharmacy, it is important that the clinicians within your surrounding area are able to correlate wellness longevity to your pharmacy now, right? And you could do that with products that we have available today. That's going to be your NAD, that'll be your sermorelin, glutathione, things of that nature. So as long as you can begin building out that wellness longevity pillar today, I think it'll be the same patients who are going to be interested in the peptides that are going to hit the market. So with a few of these, I know I mentioned, if you would go back to the last slide, we mentioned NAD. NAD is huge right now. We have seen a huge boom in NAD purchasing, I think, really since the beginning of Q4 last year. We flipped it over to an aqueous solution, which allowed patients to not have to deal with the reconstitution of that particular SKU. We did the same thing with our sermorelin. I've been hearing from various practices as of recent that their sermorelin volume is just coming out of nowhere. They aren't putting any marketing behind it. It's just sermorelin is a peptide. People are correlating peptides to sermorelin, and boom goes the dynamite. They're seeing insane volume. Niagen is a really exciting one. I was talking to Annie earlier today via email. We are launching Niagen on the 5th of May. So Niagen is the precursor to NAD. More bioavailability, smaller molecule, more effectiveness when comparing it to NAD. So we'll be rolling that out here very soon. Really looking forward to that. Again, further diversifying our wellness longevity pillars that we have, in particular. Glutathione. Oddly enough, glutathione is a peptide. So I would have to go back and read up on how this is classified as a peptide, but it is also classified as an antioxidant. Glutathione's phenomenal. It's a product that I love. Real reason why I love the Tri-Immune Boost that's listed here. The Tri-Immune Boost has a hefty dose of glutathione. It's going to be that same concentrate, but it's going to have ascorbic acid and zinc. We've had, myself included, we've had staff members come down with gnarly colds that they can't kick. After Tri-Immune Boost, they're back up on their feet. It truly is. It's crazy to say it. It is the most miracle product that we have that is not like a GLP-1-esque product. This is phenomenal. I love our Tri-Immune Boost. And then methylcobalamin, I will say I've dubbed this as the one of the sexiest products that you could probably offer. No one's going to decline a B12 shot. Everyone is, I would say, with HRT and BHRT becoming so popular as of recent, everybody is doing at-home testing and telemedicine right now. So with that, it is very easy to test deficiencies for B12 as well as D3. I know D3 isn't on this list, but those are two vitamins that everybody is deficient in. I will be honest, if I hung a B12 injection in front of my father, he would take it 9 times out of 10. And I don't know too many others who would neglect to take a B12 injection. So again, all of the people who are taking or interested in peptides, these are products they're already using, right? So build that pillar now. You're going to end up building a pipeline of patients who are definitely going to just lean into peptides heavy once we are able to produce them and dispense those, compliantly. I think building it out now is definitely a need. So
I want to jump in and ruin your little spiel here, but one of my favorite things specifically about Olympia, correct me if you've made any updates, but there's no order minimums.
no.
So I don't know why anyone wouldn't take this opportunity. If you're not familiar with the 503B scenario in your pharmacy, You just order a finished product like you would from your wholesaler, but it's coming from Olympia. It has an NDC, it has everything on there. You add that NDC into your system. You can keep it on your shelf, keep it in the fridge, wherever it needs to be stored, and then you just dispense it. But what is so great about Olympia as well is you don't even have to order ahead of time. Let's just say I have one patient who, wants something that I hadn't even really marketed, but I don't want to turn him down. Um, I can just order that one product and you know that you're going to make money off of it. It's all a cash-based business. But that's one of my favorite things about Olympia is that you can start where you are no matter what. You don't need to wait to do your marketing even.
Right.
Let's say you got a prescription, I could send it into Olympia as long as it's there at a reasonable time in the day. I know it's coming tomorrow. At least here in Florida, I get it before 12 and I can have it out the door that day. So that's one of my favorite things about Olympia.
Yeah.
Love that. Absolutely no order minimums. We love getting product out within the same day the order's placed. So as I mentioned, with the list coming out as of last week, our peptide focus and kind of strategy has shifted just a touch. BPC-157 is still at the top of our list. That product is done. We have it on stability. We are likely going to have the longest beyond use dating in the market once 503Bs are able to produce it. All new products that we're rolling out are going to be, we're going to run stability out until 365 days. Will we give everything 365-day dating? I don't know. That's going to be up to quality. I just know how long we're running stability for. On a product as popular as BPC, I can foresee that just, to ease whatever our production team might be going through in terms of just inventory management. But we are ready to go with BPC, really excited about it. We'll be about 3 weeks out from having that product dispensing once the guidance comes out. We just have to execute on a few POs, which I think we already have. So that might even cut down timing a little bit more. We did execute on the POs in preparation that we would hear something this week. So we are waiting and watching very closely. Since I sent this over to Nicolette, we haven't nixed Ipamorelin. Ipamorelin is still in MD&B, but that was not one of the peptides that found its way onto the list that came out last week. CJC was not either. Now, BPC-157, obviously we're rocking with, but TB500 did make the list. So we are working on the Wolverine stack. GHK-Copper made it on the list as well. So we are working on a glow stack. I know there's a Clo stack out there with KPV, TB500, GHK, and BPC. We have not started on that combo as of yet, but we are working on, we do have a, let's see, GHK solo. We have a TB500, which is solo. We have the stacks. We are working on a KPV BPC stack. We did source CMAX. And I think there were a couple others that we're working on. We have MOTS-C. We're doing a bracketed study on that. So all of the peptides that hit the list are actively being worked on as of right now on our end. So it is huge. We are really pushing pretty hard for it. The only ones that are either done or have made their way into MD&B at this point is BPC-157, GHK, TB500, and then the combos, the stacks, the Wolverine stack and the Glow stack are about to make their way into MD&B. So we'll see probably those in MD&B make their way to and through stability by, I would say, beginning to middle of Q4. But BPC, again, we are ready to go, which we're excited about. And these are just some of the products that we see here. Again, with us bowing out of GLP-1s early, we've really been able to focus on our R&D efforts. So as of right now, you'll see CoQ10 is a big one that I think a lot of folks might be interested in, a phenomenal wellness longevity product that is doing very well in the brick and mortar space with like med spas. So if it's doing well in med spas, you can imagine that it is going to do good direct to patient as a community pharmacy. We are reformulating or coming out with a new concentrate for our NAD to more closely align with, I would say, what a lot of folks are doing in the telemedicine space. You'll see retatrutide and ecnoglutide. Those are two GLP-1s that are actually in phase 3 trials with the FDA right now. Those would have to hit the FDA drug shortage list for us to be able to produce them. Polydocanol is an exciting one to address any kind of vascular clinic or vein care clinic. Glycine and glycine with NAC are exciting. But in all reality, the peptides have kind of pushed their way to top priority in terms of our R&D efforts at this point in time.
That's really exciting. That makes a lot of sense. And everybody's head's probably spinning. And I think you should make a Hayden stack while you're at it.
Yeah, right. Come on.
Come up with something fun,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of chats coming through asking about clinical training. And especially since we just talked about all these different peptides and formulations that we were not taught about in pharmacy school. We've been in the process of talking to and vetting different clinical like peptide training companies because we're not equipped to make these learn videos. And, a lot of the providers and sophisticated med spas and such are already going to places like A4M and things for clinical training. So we are approaching them from our GPO, from our group purchasing organization here at Atrium, and saying, hey, we have a lot of pharmacists interested in structured, regimented, reputable clinical training. Can you guys give us a discount for our group? Can you modify some of your modules to be more pharmacist-centric? Because we're not med spas, we're not prescribers, we're educating patients and we're talking to prescribers. So it's a little different. So we are very close with 2 companies right now because some of them are very expensive and you might want that, need that for your practice. Some are more affordable. Some aren't really for the pharmacist track. So we're in the process of kind of sifting through all that. So if you want to scan this QR code, and Michelle can put it in the chat or the Q&A, if you want to fill out this interest form, if you're interested in formal peptide education, it just strengthens this final push that we're having with these providers so that we can secure the best discount for you guys. Because of course they're asking, well, how many pharmacists are going to sign up for your group training? And we're like, well, we don't know yet, but we want to be able to offer it. I know Annie and I want to go through as much clinical training as possible, especially Annie. But I'll go. Yeah, Annie definitely, probably me. But we need to know. We need to know where the market's going. We need to be able to talk to our patients, talk to our prescribers.
Support our pharmacies with really taking that, really detailed information. This is what I normally do. And then bring it down to kind of the pharmacy level.
Because you got to train your team. Your technicians need to know. They're not going to educate patients, but they need to know just what this is about. What is this for? Or
And we do already have some videos within Dotti for the other kind of popular things. NAD 101, sermorelin 101, glutathione. So you can already get in there. Any Dotti members, you have access to that if you haven't seen it. Which are kind of shorter videos, which might say maybe we can help Hayden understand why glutathione is a peptide as a short chain amino acid. Maybe I'll send it over to him. But
thank you, please do.
It really does make it just a little bit simpler and helps you focus on what you need to know as a pharmacy. And although you are not the prescriber, as we've seen with a lot of these new things, a lot of providers are actually relying on you.
Yeah, well, because they're used to talking to pharma reps. And pharma reps are very well educated on just a select handful of products. And they are the resource for the providers. So a lot of times the providers look to reps. Maybe it's you in this situation, maybe it's pharma, to get them materials. And there's not a ton of studies on these peptides. That's one of the barriers. So yeah, any kind of clinical training we could get or any kind of, anything we could get, educate ourselves and educate our communities about would be helpful. So I would just be cautious. There's going to be this is a new exciting thing. This is a new exciting revenue opportunity, right? There's going to be a lot of folks popping up saying, oh, I have a peptide book, or I have a this, or I'm an expert. Are they a licensed provider? Are they practicing? Are they reputable? Do they have an actual infrastructure? Do they have, you know what I mean? Like, do they
Are they
have
just capitalizing on peptides, or do they have the actual basis
Right.
behind it?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it new? Is it something just peptides? Or are they in the longevity and wellness space? Yeah. I think that's a good point. And something that you should look at with anything that you're evaluating. So that's exciting.
And probably on some of the more expensive ones, depending on, what we get into our GPO, even just that the discount that we will most likely be getting could save you about like $1,000 on some of these trainings. So I would keep that in mind because they can be kind of pricey. Like Nicolette said, we're going to look at a couple of options depending on what you really need.
Right.
But if you are looking to be, that longevity provider, especially in some of these smaller areas where maybe you are the only ones, it's definitely good to get prepared.
Yeah, I think so. And we have a little bit of time too. We have a little bit of time where you can go through clinical trainings and where you can get your sales system set up. So our Dotti pharmacies, this is what you're going to do right now. These are some of the resources. That's Annie's baby here. So Annie's our clinical pharmacist that, again, licensed practicing clinical pharmacist that writes the copy this is copy for a prescriber. This is copy for a patient. Then we have an entire graphic design team that makes it palatable, with the call to actions and the call outs and the things. Then we, especially now with the climate that we're in, send it to legal for review. Now there's disclaimers. I mean, always check with your legal team, your state, and make sure that you're in compliance. And just be very careful with marketing language, not to make claims with any compounds. No compound is FDA approved. So all those kind of disclaimers there. But what to do right now, build your longevity pillar like we talked about with the products that are already available, NAD+, glutathione, sermorelin. Align your providers and start your conversations early with them. Utilize Dotti AI to tee up, based on the data set, who should I be talking to with what message, and educate your patients and building that awareness before the launch. Because just as we've seen such interest in the gray market, just like you said, Hayden, there's so many more patients that are just kind of waiting until a compliant pathway opens up, and your prescribers too. Your prescribers don't want to go down a non-compliant pathway. So if they know, like, oh, we already send all our compounds to you guys, we work with you guys, you just tell me when it's ready.
Especially because, like, right now, there is the not for human consumption and research purpose only found on those labels. The biggest thing with these products being brought into 503B outsourcing facilities or just, state licensed 503A pharmacies is there is going to be testing done on the finished product. We are going to be removing that not for human consumption label seen on on the vials at this point, which comes with a ton of liability being stripped from the providers as well. Right? That is the biggest piece. Like, people ask me, well, what's the price point going to look like? It's not going to look like what it does today. I'll tell you that. But a big piece of it is because there is so much liability that we're stripping from these providers. Right.
That's an important point to make in your marketing message. And let's say we all just sit back and we don't leave our pharmacies and we say, oh, this is cool, I'm going to watch it. Well, then the market's going to get away from you. Your providers aren't going to know that you're on this webinar, that you're partnering with these companies, that you're working on what's to come, that you're watching the FDA. You have to go tell them. And then you have to document it in your CRM and be like, all right, I already told them, this is the questions they asked. And that way, when the next thing happens, you go and you continue that conversation with them.
Yeah. And it's so much coming at our pharmacies right now, which is why we really help to break it down for them. We have the GPO where you can get a discount on the product. We have so many pharmacies now that we're able to aggregate that purchasing power that you can get the discount that you would get if you were doing huge volume, even if you're just getting started. And I will mention just quickly on the resources there, because I know we're so used to seeing them all the time. But for pharmacies that haven't seen them before, when new products come out, we normally do have a full suite for you because we know that you're busy in your pharmacy and you don't have time to create all these. So we normally have that prescriber sell sheet, which is a little bit more detailed and clinical. Maybe it has some dosing guidance, maybe it has some side effects to look for. Then a patient-facing one where they can really see like, what are the proposed benefits of this product. We have bag stuffers that you can just throw in all your bags. We have pricing guides. So we really look at the market, what's happening. We'll look once, Hayden releases the prices, let's say for BPC-157. We'll see what it's looking like in the telehealth space, what it's looking like at the clinical level. So we do that work for you. And then also on those resources, it's really cool because when you download them, it will download with your pharmacy specific information. So there's always a spot where your logo is going to pop up and then a spot where your pharmacy name, address, and you can also input, in there, you can fill in different information if you want your website, if you want your phone number. But I think it's just a really important part for pharmacies to understand this does seem overwhelming, but that's why Atrium is here. Among so many other things, then it makes it easy to track which prescribers you're looking at, which ones you're following up with. So it really is from start to finish. We're here to support independent pharmacies, and we're having fun with it now too.
Yeah. Yes, and so we have some calls to action. If you're a Dotti member, if you're a non-Dotti member, we want this to be helpful for everyone. Hayden has to jump to another meeting, but we have Erica to go over the questions on the Olympia side, and then us and Michelle. So thank you so much, Hayden. We always appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Now, if you're a Dotti member, make sure you're registered with Olympia Pharmaceuticals through the Atrium24 GPO, and you can do that inside of Dotti. That way you already get the pre-negotiated discounted pricing. Like Annie said, you don't have to go and haggle, and you have the purchasing power of hundreds of pharmacies. So you're not just haggling, with your own pharmacy in that purchasing. So we do have other 503B, telemedicine, legal, cold chain supply shipping, AI data entry. We have all kinds of things in the 3D printing. We have all kinds of things in the Atrium24 GPO that's discounted for you. So make sure that you're registered.
I do just want to also mention how useful telemedicine can be in this space. Because sometimes the providers in your area are not quite used to these things. Maybe they think it might be good for their patients, but they're not comfortable prescribing it. Having that option in your pharmacy can really help you take off in this longevity space as well.
Yeah, telemedicine is important to have. That's in the Atrium24 GPO as well, and you can white label it for your pharmacy. Like I mentioned, I teased a little bit of Dotti 2.0 to you guys. If you want to start checking it out, let us know. We'll let you in. Complete that peptide training interest form. I know we're really interested in the interest form.
Yes.
So there's that. So we're going to start peptide training very soon. If you're a non-Dotti member, you can scan that QR code and book a demo. You can talk with Sam. He can pull up your state and our 503B and 503A central fill. We have a lot of central fill options too for you for things that B's can't compound. You can get it on the A side as long as it's patient specific and documented. Medical necessity from your providers. But Sam can talk with you about just what's kind of the status in your state. Do you have other folks in your state in our network and purchasing from these places and dispensing? And he can just show you what Dotti looks like and if we interface with your pharmacy management system. So definitely get on with Sam if you'd like to see the things that we're working on. So we don't want to keep you guys too long. This has been an action-packed. As you can tell, we're excited and passionate about it here at Atrium24. And Olympia has been a wonderful partner of ours for years. So they're always great to talk with. I know they're on the forefront and the cutting edge, and they're very compliant and conservative, which we like. So so we wanted to show you what that they were working on and just put it out there for you guys. We learn a lot from you too. So reach out to us if you're, an Atrium customer or not, hello@atrium24.io. If you have any questions, if we can help connect you with anyone, if you have anything that I know someone on the chat said they want to talk about clinical education, so please come on in. We love being connected. We love talking with you guys. We love learning from you and we love serving you. So Thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you soon.